and welcome to Old English Outfitters YouTube channel. I'm Alan. And today we're going to take a look at a new pistol that Smith & Wesson has come out with. Now, some of you may remember a couple years ago we did a video on the Smith & Wesson 380 EZ, designed to be a very easily operated pistol, hence the name EZ. Well, this is not it. This is the new M&P Shield EZ. This is the 380 EZ. Looks the same, doesn't it? Yeah, pretty much looks the same. Matter of fact, when they first handed me this and said, hey, we want to do a review of this, when he handed it to me, I thought, didn't we already do a review of this? Wait a minute, this thing feels heavy. Is it loaded? And then I realized, no, it's not loaded. It's actually the 9mm version of the 380 EZ. This has been kind of sought after. A lot of people have come in and queried us about, hey, are they going to make this in 9mm? Well, boys and girls, they have done it. Here it is. Looks a whole lot the same, doesn't it? Same basic footprint, same essential parameters, and same design objectives, but upgraded to handle the 9mm cartridge. Okay? So if we compare these two pistols, just looking at them like this, they look the same. If you laid them down and you didn't look really close, you might miss which one is which. These weapons are both empty and safe. I'm going to close the slides on for a minute. And we're going to talk first about the magazines, because the magazines are very, very much the same. The 9mm magazine is obviously wider, because it has to be, right? 9mm is longer than 380, so you got to have more space in the magazine. If you remember, the 380 has a tab on the side, like a lot of rimfire magazines have, to pull the follower down. The 9mm has the same tab. Magazine spring pressure, to me, feels about the same. Shouldn't really need any too much different magazine spring pressure. So the capacity is the same. 8 rounds. 8 rounds of 380, 8 rounds in the 9mm. Just like they did with the 380, you get 2 with the 9mm. What's different? The 9mm version has a dovetailed front sight. The 380 version doesn't. It had the staked or pinned front sight. A little bit different design. So this one's dovetailed. So presumably we'll have people moving out replacement sights like night sights and such for this. Easy to change. Rear sight, same configuration. You can move it left-right with a little bit of just loosen the sight. You can move it left-right for some windage adjustment. Has the same loaded chamber indicator that sticks up right there. If you can see it, I'll hold it up there like that. Sticks up just like the 380 does. So the same configuration there. If I close the slide and I put these two things side by side, you will notice that the 9mm slide is just a little bit wider, but a better description than wider is it's beefier than the 380. It has to be. 9mm generates more pressure. We're pushing heavier bullets. You got to beef the gun up. The 9mm version weighs about 23 ounces. The 380, I think, is 19 or 20 ounces. So this one's a little heavier. These two weapons and the first generation of the 9s that we're getting are going to be the ones with the manual thumb safety, both sides of the gun, just like the 380 had. Undoubtedly, they'll come along with versions without those. They'll probably have the Performance Center versions and other things that they've done with the 380. They'll probably do with this. But for right now, kicking it off, this is what we got. So same configuration. Has the same grip or palm safety that the 380 has. There's a couple other small differences that are small differences. They kind of rebated undercut the trigger guard right there a little on this. A little more than he did on the 380 version. The slide stop is offset just slightly like it is in the 9mm and 40 caliber shields, the normal Smith & Wesson shield pistol, which is a little different than the 380 version. The 380 just pops up into the slot. This one has that little offset piece. Another difference is if you look at the slide itself, we talked about being beefier. The bottom of it's basically the same width, but it's thicker up here. And that most of the weight of the 9mm is in the slide. Most of the weight's in the slide. If you take it apart to frame felt like it was about the same. The magazine release, reversible on the 9mm. You can swap it to the other side if you want to. There's a nice touch. Same Picatinny rail. Recoil spring guide is metal on this. On the 380 version, it's polymer. There's another difference that we're going to talk about in a minute when we take this thing apart. We shot it. Pretty nice gun. Handles pretty well. Handles recoil really well. Shot fine. It was very accurate. We had no trouble hitting things with it. Perfectly reliable. Nice platform. Does it cycle as easily as the 380? Not quite, but pretty doggone close. Has to cycle a little heavier because 9mm is a stronger cartridge, right? So we got to have stronger components. But it's pretty doggone close. It's pretty easy to do. This is a hammer-fired gun, just like the 380, but the hammer is concealed inside the gun. The design is kind of an upgrade and takeoff on the M&P 22 Compact. When it comes to taking this apart, it takes apart just like the 380 version. Obviously, the first thing we do, same thing we do with anything. Anything that we're going to work on, maintain it, clean, whatever. What do? We make sure it's empty and safe. Semi-automatic, we take the magazine out first. We lock the slide open, make sure the chamber's empty, right? First thing we do. All we got to do then is rotate the takedown lever down, release the slide, and it'll pull right off the top of the frame. The frame on this, if you look inside, it looks virtually identical to the 380 version. And like I said, it's about the same weight. There is a difference inside here on this with regard to the recoil spring guide compared to the older 380 version. From here, you just take the recoil spring guide, take the barrel out, so we end up with the same components we end up with most things these days. Nothing overly small. We got a frame, we got a slide, barrel, recoil spring, and guide. If you remember, when we did the 380, we talked about how the front of the recoil spring guide on the 380 was not round. It was kind of oblong shaped. So you had to make sure it was oriented correctly in the front of the slide to make sure that it made it correctly. This is different. Not a big deal, but it's different. Instead of the front being different, it's the back piece that's different. So the back piece has two flats and then it's round on the ends. It won't go back together if you put the flat down. And it's easy to figure that out if you just look at the barrel. The barrel, the slot that the recoil spring guide mates in is round, so the round end of the guide's got to sit in there. If you get the flat end up, you won't get the gun back together. So it's a unique difference. Not a big deal. You take it apart once or twice, look at it, you'll understand it. No problem at all. By the way, that's a captured recoil spring. So once again, it won't launch and go out the kitchen window on you when you're taking it apart. So to put it back together, barrel goes back in, recoil spring and guide goes back in. The front's round, so there's no concern up there, but make sure the round end of the guide goes down into the round pocket slot that's on the barrel, on the recoil lug there, okay? Put it back onto the frame, take it all the way back, and take it all the way back, he said. And we've had, yes, a little issue with this thing sticking, but it is new. Let's make sure we got everything in there where we want it to be. All the way back. Make sure too that you push the grip safety in when you bring it all the way back, because that's going to move that piece inside down so the slide goes in. Once it's back on, put the takedown lever back to its original position. Function check it. Works okay. Won't fire with the grip safety not engaged. Won't fire with the thumb safety engaged. Does fire when everything else is engaged. So function checks correctly. So what we have is we have the 380 EZ design, and one of their primary design objectives of this was what? Make it an easy thing to operate. Magazine's easy to load, slide easy to rack. We have the same basic idea here. Magazine easy to load, slide pretty easy to rack, but in 9mm. So we got more power in the 9mm cartridge, right? We got lesser expensive practice ammunition. Pretty nice little gun. We like it. We think it's going to be a good seller. We're going to be having these out here for $459.99. Nice gun. We got them in stock, so they're going to be ready probably at the time you see this video. They will be ready to go. If you handle this one and you think it's a little heavier or too much more than you want, all you got to do is go to the 380 version, which has been out, and you won't have any trouble. Very easy pistol to operate. This is a good idea because we see a lot of people, sometimes women, sometimes elderly folks, sometimes whoever, that just, you have physical issues. You've had surgery, you've had some kind of problem or some sort of physical issue where it's just difficult to rack the slide on a semi-automatic pistol. These two pistols now give you a lot of flexibility, 380 or 9mm, and a weapon that's pretty easy to operate, very comfortable to shoot, by the way. The 380, these guns are bigger than some of the really small pocket 380s were, right? But the 380 being bigger, very easy to shoot. Same idea here. Very easy to shoot. And again, two guns that are virtually the same footprint, two different calibers. So we got them both. Pretty good deal. We like it. That's about all we've got for this, but this is introductory. This is a brand new product. We think it's going to sell pretty well. So if you want to see one, come in and take a look. I think we've got plenty of them in stock. So for now, I'm Alan for Old English. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram, YouTube. Come in and see us. We're happy to help you. Until next time, I'm Alan for Old English Outfitters. Thanks for watching.